As a man on this journey of retention, it's very important for you to understand that suffering is part of it. Okay? You cannot level up without suffering. Suffering is part of everyday life. Suffering happens when you're disciplining yourself. Suffering takes place when you're working out your muscles and you're in pain because you're going so hard by lifting, working out your muscles, exercising the body. That's suffering. Eating eating healthy, but not eating for the sake of tasting food. That's suffering. Suffering in terms of spending hours and hours and hours upon hours working on your craft, working on starting that business. You know what I'm saying? Finding ways to free yourself from the matrix. That's suffering. You don't get nowhere in life without suffering first. You don't get the W without suffering first. You don't become a champion without suffering. Okay, you need to suffer before you can get anywhere in life. Before God blesses you, you need to suffer first. You need to learn how to suffer. Understand that. Semen retention is suffering. Because as a man, if you want to get to places in life, you want to become the best version of yourself, you need to retain that seed. If you want to make the type of money that you are desiring to make, you need to retain that seed. If you want to get the type of girl, the type of woman that you want in your life, you need to retain that seed. All right. If you want that job opportunity or that career opportunity, if you want to be successful in your business, you need to retain that semen, retain that energy, because you are not going to get to where you want to be if you are not disciplined. Okay. Suffering, when you are suffering through something, you are building up that discipline. You are building up that inner strength. You are building up that resiliency, that will. Okay? When you are suffering, you are becoming stronger, not weaker. Only the weak, only the weak avoid suffering. If you are avoiding suffering at any point in your life, I'm here to tell you right now, you are going to be weak for the rest of your life. You're going to be soft, and you're going to raise your kids to be soft as well. Because in this world, in this society, there is no place for soft, weak men. Understand that. There is no place for a weak man. So, if you are choosing to avoid suffering, you are not going to last long. Because when shit does hit the fan, you need to be able to defend yourself and fight. When the circumstance calls for it, you need to be able to defend yourself physically. But right now we're in a spiritual warfare where our spirit is being tested by these wicked demonic forces. God is testing our will every day. We're tempted every day. Okay, we're constantly being challenged to see how far we can go, to see how far we want something, to see how bad we want something to happen in our life. And those hard times, man, those struggling times are there for a reason. See, we are made to struggle not forever, but for a season. For a season, we will struggle. We will go through the fire. For forever how long we have to endure that fire, there comes the reward. There comes the blessing. You see, you're not going to get anything for nothing, okay? You're not given anything for nothing. You have to be able to give something in order to gain something. That's how this works. Sometimes God, the Lord, the Most High needs to strip you down of everything about you in order to rebuild yourself back up in His image. This needs to happen. It's not going to happen for everybody, but for God's selected, chosen one that He is calling, He will have to rebuild you back up. Because in order to grow, in order to inherit the kingdom of God, we need to be able to be stripped down and rebuild ourselves back up. We need to be able to withstand the fire that we're being put through. See, we're not being put through the fire for no reason. This is for a purpose. This is only to strengthen our faith, strengthen our spirit. Understand that. There is no time to be comfortable. There is no time to be in a place of comfort. You need to let go of comfort, and you need to welcome discomfort. You need to welcome suffering. Don't let the world tell you that suffering is a bad thing. Listen, suffering ain't always a bad thing, right? If you're an emotionally intelligent person, you know that suffering is supposed to be a good thing for you in the long run. For you in the long run, it's going to benefit you. It may break you down. It may cause you to lose yourself for a season. It may cause you to, act out of character in certain times. You're going to be put through it. But the whole point is for you to be strengthened. The whole point is for you to grow from this suffering. Every man has to suffer. All right? When you're retaining your semen and you're going without sex, you're going without, porn, ejaculation, all these low pleasures, all these cheap dopamine hits, whether it's junk food, video games, whatever, being celibate from the entire world, being celibate from society, from the matrix, that's going to be suffering. That's going to be suffering, right? It's not going to be easy. Anything that's easy in life is not going to be something that you suffer from. Anything that's easy in life, you're not going to suffer from it. But that's just taking the easy way out. That's just taking the easy path. That's just walking the same path that these sheep are walking. The same path that these blind people are walking. These NPCs are walking. You don't want to walk their path because they chose an easy route. They chose the same old route that's normal, that's complacent, that's comfortable, all that bullshit. That's just going to keep them at a lower level. That's just going to keep them stuck and stagnant. And we cannot afford to be stagnant. We need to constantly be evolving and growing day after day after day. And if you're not growing, if you're not adapting, then guess what? You might as well just be dead. You might as well just be not alive anymore. What's the point? Life is about growth. Life is about adapting. Adapting. You need to be adapting to new environments, new circumstances, to new positive habits, all right? Creating brand new habits that's conducive to your growth, to your progress. And in that process, you are going to suffer, to be unprogramming yourself from bad habits, bad behavior, whatever. things that you were so comfortable in doing for so many years, it's going to take a lot of time to undo all that damage and create a new version of yourself. But understand that you have to go through that suffering period, because God will not bless his people, the ones that are not, the ones that are trying to avoid suffering, the ones that are just trying to avoid any fire, any conflict. Guess what? Life is going to be about conflict at times. You will have conflicts. You will have problems. Don't try to act like those things are not going to happen. Okay, just because you're super spiritual or you're super duper positive, you think you're just immune from problems. You just think you're immune from suffering. No, because that just makes you soft and weak. And I'm gonna be blunt with it too. I'm not finna sugarcoat this. You will be weak and soft if you avoid suffering. Right? You don't become the man you are today without suffering. You don't become a successful UFC fighter or a boxer without suffering. You don't think these athletes, these world-class athletes, these boxers, these fighters, you don't think they have to go through a form of suffering in order to become successful in boxing, in fighting? Going through a fight, a boxing match, that's suffering. It's competitive. The training regimen, the training regimen is sufferable. It's suffering. But suffering is made to be a beneficial thing. Okay? Every guy has to suffer in order to grow, in order to be something in this life. In order to be, you want to be a soldier for the Most High, you got to be put through some suffering. You got to be put through some shit. Excuse my French. But you got to be put through the fire. There is no such thing as an easy, smooth path. There is no cakewalk. There is no such thing as a fairy tale world. Okay? Get out of that mindset. Get out of fairy tale, reality. Okay, that's not reality. Get out of Disney World. Get out of this fantasy world, man. And start living in reality. Start living in the truth. Start looking around what's in front of you. Start paying attention. Start being more aware of your surroundings. Okay, take heed to what is going on around you. And always strive to grow and evolve yourself. Because you don't want to stay in the same position that you were in a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and so forth. But I want to make this video, man, and make it clear that suffering is not a bad thing. Okay? The most successful people in the world had to go through suffering. Jesus Christ had to suffer. He fasted for 40 days, 40 nights, was tempted by the devil, and he wanted to gain wisdom from God. He wanted to gain something from the Most High. The Most High was ready to bless Jesus for fasting that long, for being obedient, for being disciplined. That's discipline. If you ask me, fasting for that long, 40 days, 40 nights, that is true discipline. I don't know about y'all, but that is true discipline. But Jesus had to suffer. And you don't think we're not going to suffer? If we were made in the image of God, God designed us in his image, you don't think we're not going to be put through suffering? Come on now. Don't be ridiculous. Okay? Don't be blind. We are going to go through suffering times. But just understand the purpose of the suffering. Be mindful of why we're being put through the things that we're being put through. Some of the things that we're being put through, it's because we've been disobedient. Sometimes God just has to test us before he can bless us. Okay? Sometimes he just has to test us and before he can give us that blessing. So that being said, man, I want to come on here and address that. You know, get rid of the whole belief that suffering is bad. You should avoid it. Because where I come from, how I came up, you know, there have been times where I had to suffer and I had to go through the fire. You know, I'm still going through the fire right now, but I understand the reason for that. I understand that there's a bigger picture that I need to see. So with that being said, man, this is Mr. Silodolo. Make sure y'all like the video for the algorithm. Subscribe if you are new. God bless y'all, man, and I'm out. Peace.